you just have to have an unwavering belief in yourself, almost unrealistic, that like no matter how much you're failing now, that you'll be able to learn it, right? And as long as it's a quality product, you'll be able to learn it. The key is what I stopped doing when it finally clicked for me, and this is the way I teach it. I don't do scripts here. I don't do any of that. I make them rewrite everything I say in their own words. You have to be comfortable being yourself, and you have to learn the shit out of the product so you can just have a regular conversation and talk to the client.
Welcome, everyone. This is a new podcast that's brought to you by iSales CRM. It's called Close More. So what we're going to do is we're going to interview sales leaders throughout the country, people that are high in their field, just talk about their story and get some tips that are going to help you in turn close some more deals. So this week for our first interview, we have a close friend of mine, somebody that I actually worked side by side with, one of the best guys I know personally and definitely a top producer, a close friend of mine. His name's Luke Jeraci. So I'll let you introduce yourself, man, and welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how you doing? As Carlos just said, him and I used to actually work together. We both were new at the same sales office together, so it's just kind of cool to see you guys expanding, Carlos and Bradley, and do your thing. And I've been fortunate enough to stick with the company. I've now rose to a satellite division leader, and our actually office this week just did $1 million for the first time, so it's pretty cool in 1 week.
Yeah, that's like a prestige milestone. If anyone doesn't know, within the insurance industry, I mean, eclipsing $1 million in sales is something that everybody reaches out for, and very rarely they are able to accomplish that. So that's awesome, man. Really proud of you personally, just because I remember when we first started this thing, those late nights, just grinding away, no shoes on, just sitting there for hours, just making as much money as we could, right? But
podcast is format. Put my shoes back on for this.
Yeah, I almost took them off for your honor. I was going to take them off and get a shot of no shoes on, but let's dive into it. So, you're somebody that I personally grew with as a salesperson, and then we kind of went our own ways. You stuck with the insurance. I went, on the other side of the spectrum, with the software that many actually producers use.
Yeah.
I want to hear your story, a little bit of like how you grew into who you are now and like kind of what you did to get there. What you'd recommend other people do as well, you know, on their course to maybe getting or hitting a goal that they're looking after.
All right. So I'll start that off with, I guess, the first part of the question, like how I grew into where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I would say like for as long as I can remember, I've been obsessed with growth, just individual. So like the year before I started, you know, in the insurance, I read like 48 books, right? So what I would suggest to anybody that's getting into sales, I know you're going to feel like you're busy as hell and like you have no time. Read, constantly read, listen to podcasts with like this one, right? Like ones where people are studying their craft, talking about different things, and don't just read sales books. Read books that are personal development, have to do with like history, but just constantly keep yourself reading and growing your mind, because the mind really is a muscle. That's why like if you don't use it, you lose it. So that's the biggest thing I really did for myself, is I just kept growing. Yeah. So every year, like I can't remember last year, I didn't feel like that year was my best year ever. Right. So like this year I feel like that again, even though everybody feels like the opposite. This year it's been absolutely incredible for me.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely can attest, just to interject on that. I mean, you've always been big on books. I remember you always constantly, you know, sharing different books that you were reading, and that's pretty huge, because you're going to gain knowledge that you wouldn't have gained elsewhere, and it's right in front of you. And the more that you're able to take in, you know, the more you're going to be able to put out from what you gain. So that's good stuff. But yeah, continue. As far as, well, you gave a point and some tips on for what people should follow or do, just a tip, but like maybe your story of how you decided to go that route, or what led you to that, and what did you follow, you know, to get there?
All right. So I guess knowing was, some of the things always came to like naturally pretty easy. Mm-hmm. And then that caused me not to push myself for a while. Right. Yeah. So I guess going back, when I said like, I can't remember when I didn't, it was probably in college. And then my junior year of college, I had like terrible grades. My first time in my life, I had terrible grades. I hadn't been studying anything. And it was like one of those wake up calls where it was like, you get your ass kicked and it's good. And I was like, oh shit, I need to get in the lab and learn what I'm doing. And then I just started studying everything and just reading everything. Like, even though I didn't take physics, I was reading quantum physics books, things like that. Not that, you know, I shouldn't have to do that, but it was just kind of like that, just got that spiraled out. And something that I've done with this team here, I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but I got these like hippie stones on the gold. And stuff.
Yeah, I know you're big on the hippie stones.
Yeah. So I met with this shaman about a year and a half ago, and he told me I was going to revolutionize business. And I was getting ready to leave the insurance industry. I was literally like a month out from quitting. And
when was this? What time frame was this?
This was like January, so it was 2 years ago. It was January 2019 or December 2018, something in that range.
Okay.
And they're like, no. And I kept being like, oh, because I was getting ready to go into this, into the marijuana industry. And I was like, oh, so you're talking about that? And he's like, no. You're going to revolutionize the industry you're in. Da, 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 da. And then, long story short, you guys are kind of privy to it, but I'm not going to get into it. But I ended up leaving where I was at because I realized I didn't hate what I was doing. I just didn't like where I was at.
Yeah.
And then now I've started a new office this year in a new city where I knew nobody. We got a team of like 35 people, just did $1 million a week, in some little area northeast of Atlanta. I got guys from gas stations are making 18,000 a year. I got them reading a book a month. We literally do a book club every Monday.
Really?
And yeah. Every Monday at 2:00, we discuss the books. They can listen to them on Audible. Tuesday is goal setting. So my trainings aren't necessarily, we do 1 day of product. Every other thing is on them growing as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's company record. So it's going to be another kind of like term that not necessarily is going to understand, but there's, a milestone for new agents in our company that if they hit 100K in their first 13 weeks, it's like a badass thing.
Yeah.
I have 100% of my agents hitting that.
Really? And that's where you're at. That 100K is like a very good, like threshold or kind of like a good gauge as far as what type of salesperson that person's going to be, right? That's why it's like so big, right? Because it shows the potential.
Yeah. And then I haven't lost an agent. I haven't had an agent quit this year, which again, if anybody's in sales, commission only, you know how that goes.
Oh yeah. Turnover is all over the place. Yeah.
I have asked people to leave, not rudely, just like, hey, I don't think going to work for you. I used to do that within the first month and a half. So that's another thing I would say for anybody that's a team leader. Try to figure out who's going to make it and who's not. The worst thing you can have for everybody around is a bunch of dead weight. And I don't mean that in like a terrible way about the person, but if you have somebody not making money, putting in the hours, it's not good for everybody to see them failing. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to see that. So what I do is I try to help them find another option right away.
Wow.
And just help them, and I help them find another job. And then what that does is it also creates kind of like a prestige feeling to being part of the team. You know, it's like not everybody can do it, but it's not for everybody. Right.
Yeah. And that's big into like the culture that you're bringing there too, because you're not just letting people like die per se, where they're just sitting there. You know what I mean? And that's huge.
Because people will push themselves way more than they should, trying to prove it. And it's like you've seen it. People lose their houses and cars and shit. And
it's like, not cool.
It's not cool. You know, it's bad for everybody. So I'd rather lose a couple $100 what I'm making on agent a couple months and not have anything. There's no lingering negative. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. That's great. That's genius. I mean, not only are you letting them know, like, hey, like, maybe this isn't for you. You're actually going out of your way, which is, I just know the type of dude you are. That's like an energy thing for you, you know. Whatever we put out comes back, right? Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually happy that I have you as like one of our first guests, because I know that not only are you like a very solid sales guy, you're very into like energy and like you got a good spiritual side to you, which if you tie that along with sales, you could be very successful, you know, because I mean, energy is big in sales. It's almost everything. Like we used to talk about that all the time. Yeah, you know, if you're in a bad mood, you're done, you know? So that's awesome, man. I'm glad to see that.
Bad mood or something like that, I make them like listen to like a YouTube motivational thing, go take a walk. The other thing I do, so we do, 1 book a month minimum. They have to exercise 3 times a week. I don't care if they go to the gym or not. I got a dude that had 3 heart attacks where he's working here. And so now like I got him losing weight. I don't necessarily care about the weight, but
the health. Yeah.
It's good. So people work less hours here and get more done. Which also saves us cost on leads, right? So we're all about
efficiency,
quality. Efficiency. And then the third thing we do 1 community service thing a month. unlike all these like social media entrepreneurs, I don't really put it on social media. Again, nothing wrong with putting it on there, but we just try to stay active in the community, which is why I was just telling you, getting invited to have my own podcast in the community here. So we've made.
And what's that called, by the way? Do you know what the name of it yet?
Yeah, it's not out yet. It's going to be coming out in January. We're calling it Free Game.
Free Game. Okay. Well, we'll definitely help promote that whenever it's ready. Let us know. We'll share it to all our viewers as well.
Yeah, I'll probably ask you guys to jump on, man. Like you and Brandon, tag team. I'll fly you guys out.
Absolutely, I would love to do that. So that's cool. What about as far as your business? Are you ever looking for salespeople? If you are, what type of person would you want within your quote unquote home with your other agents? Like, what type of person are you looking for, and what can they expect, and how would they reach you if they wanted to be a part of your business?
All right. So what type of person? I can't gauge that. What I can say is what kind of person I don't want.
Okay.
Because again, like you've seen it, dude, like Zalka, like you just wouldn't guess that some people would be so amazing at it.
Right.
The guy's name I just threw out there is like the highest individual producer. If you met him, you might not guess that he would be like this animal salesman. And
right,
I don't even necessarily even like each other, but respect is due where it's due. And he's the best. I'll give it to him. And it is what it is. So like, what I would say, what I don't want is somebody that points fingers and doesn't take accountability. Somebody that lies. Like, as long as somebody's honest, I can basically brush anything off.
That's an integrity thing too,
Yeah. I just don't do the others, I just want to want somebody that can't take accountability. Somebody that isn't real. I mean, your first year in this job, you're going to work. I'm talking about efficiency, but that doesn't mean there's not a ton of hours. You know as well as I do, 50, 60 hours a week is realistic your first year.
Yeah.
You're trying to make six figures. And I really kind of want people that want to win. Maybe 40 to 50 if they're like just straight studs on the phone, or they got like a networking thing or something like that. And we can figure it out. And the way they can get a hold of me, I don't know if you have like a little editing thing you put on there, you put my cell phone on there. It's 315-382-4496.
And that's your direct contact. You're cool with anybody shooting you a text, calling you?
Yeah, I don't care how many people got it. I mean, I make phone calls all day for a living. Everybody's got my number. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's fine. And then is there an email where somebody wanted to reach out to you?
Yeah, email would be, send it to Luke, Luke, dot, there's a period, J is Jack, E, elephant, R, rabbit, A, apple, C, cat, I, igloo, at usageadvisors.com.
Cool. All right. And then that's where you could reach him if you are interested in working under him or for him and or with him, I should say, and taking your career to the next level. And I used to sit next to him. We grinded many, many hours together, so I could actually, I'll put my shirt on the line for Luke. He's a good guy. But one thing I definitely want to ask is, it all sounds great. Everybody thinks, because of all the social media that's out there, they think, oh, you get a job in sales, it's easy. You just sell some stuff and you're driving a Lambo, and you have a penthouse. We both know that there's only a few percentage of people that are actually falling into that category. But
and the people that are doing that usually stop growing.
Yeah.
I can just tell you right now, like my team is straight killing it. Mm-hmm. I'm still driving a Toyota Corolla.
You still have the Rolla?
I got the Rolla. I'm probably going to get a new car.
I remember that thing.
But I've been driving that thing forever. You know why? And true story, getting this office going, I was sleeping on the floor of this office for a little bit, reinvesting. I was making $20K in a month. I was reinvested every single thing I had back into the office and into my people. Yeah. That's why I'm usually like, if a guy's got a Lambo, that means he's not putting it back into his people.
Yeah.
Usually, right? Usually. I mean, you get to a certain level, it is what it is, but
yeah, that makes sense.
Here, you know what I mean? And you're like, come on, man.
So what I was kind of going to piggyback off of that was, I was going to say, everybody sees this because that's usually how a lot of these people in the industry that we're in use for recruitment. They take pictures of their cars and they do their vacations that they took 2 years ago or whatever it is. And, they try to fluff it to make it seem like it's this amazing thing. But what would you say as far as your downfalls, like your struggles when you were going through it? Would you recommend to somebody thinking about going into sales or that is already in sales? Like, what do you do or what did you do during your downswings or your hard times that kept you going? And what did you do to like recover from that and to bounce back from that?
It's a great question. All right, so anybody's in commission only sales, if you think about getting into it, it is not a walk in the park.
Yeah.
You were there. I mean, my first 3 months, I sucked. I was like the worst one in the office.
I wouldn't say that, but it was tough. It was tough at first.
I was pretty bad in the beginning. I
Yeah.
ended up technically came in second. Technically, Carlos beat me. Not technically. In reality, Carlos beat me, but I ended up winning this shoot for like top producer. Carlos beat me, but I won the month before, so he told him to give it to me. Thank you, Carlos. Still remember
Got you.
that. So top producer right from that point. But you just have to have an unwavering belief in yourself, almost unrealistic,
Yeah.
that like no matter how much you're failing now, that you'll be able to learn it, right? And as long as it's
For
a
sure.
quality product, you'll be able to learn it. The key is what I stopped doing when it finally clicked for me, and this is the way I teach it. I don't do scripts here. I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
I make them rewrite everything I say in their own words. You have to be comfortable being yourself, and you have to learn the shit out of the product so you can just have a regular conversation and talk to the client, right?
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
have a natural bullshit detector. The second they feel the sun's off, the deal's off.
Yeah.
Unless you're an insane like person, you can just kind of commit yourself, whatever.
Yeah.
But I would say the key that you got to do is work on yourself. See, I was doing the opposite. I just kept thinking of like, just work more, harder, learn the script, and that just kept backfiring. And then once I relaxed and like was just myself, the same way I'm talking with you guys, same way I talk with the client, I just know, I'm not gonna say everything, but I know quite a bit about insurance now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just, and once you realize it's not about you, it's about the client, and you look at connecting more and what they're actually looking for, you'll take off.
Yeah.
Until then, it all sounds like this like pseudoscience stuff, but you have to just stop focusing on yourself and your struggles and just have an unwavering belief that at the end of the day, at the end of the road, you're going to somehow make it.
Yep.
And connect with the client and listen. You can talk your way out of a deal. You'll never listen your way out. And
Yeah.
that's something I learned. You were pretty good at that. Is you just kind of listen to them. You get them talking and you just listen, and then they're going to tell you what they're looking for, and they're going to sell themselves. As long as the
Exactly.
product works, you should be good.
This is golden. This is stuff that like people pay thousands of dollars for. So that's good stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, I've had my fair share of struggles when it came to sales, but one thing that I can relate with you, though I might not be as spiritual, I'm a big like energy guy, right? So for me, it was very similar. It's like if I had, like everybody does, relationship issues, money issues, family problems, whatever it is, if you bring that with you, you're done, especially in sales. Like it's over with. Like there's no way you're going to do your job effectively. So you have to constantly like just remind yourself and convince yourself, even if you don't believe it, that eventually it's going to get better. You just have to keep working at it. And every day it gets easier and easier. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the trend, the people that are all successful that you and I both know all have somewhat of that similar trait, right? Where they powered through whatever they had going on. They put the work in and you reap the benefits. So yeah, that's good stuff, man.
And also,
Cool.
you got to have, you got to have, I don't want to say supportive, but you got to have like people around you
Yeah.
can't be seeds of doubt.
Oh yeah.
When you're struggling, you can't be around naysayers.
No.
You gotta like refill your tank with positive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I've gotten into, you'd be proud of me, man. I've gotten into, recently, I've gotten into meditation.
Nice.
Like, yeah, like in the past, like 2 months, we could say that for another episode, but I've truly noticed the biggest differences in the days that I meditate. And then the days I don't, I'm like, damn, I didn't meditate today.
Different
It's
game.
so crazy. It's like it opens up like parts of your brain that you didn't know exist. And it's like you sit there and like I was listening to one, I can't think of the name, but I was listening to one podcast and this guy was like big in like crypto and investing. And he's just like this very successful guy. And he talks about meditation and he says the ultimate goal of anybody that meditates is to get it to a place where it's just black space while you're meditating. That shows that like your mind is clear, your conscious is clear, and you're able to actually really just sit there and just let everything go. Right. So like I try and like every day, every time I do it, it gets a little better. Right. Like I do like 10 minutes and then I'll do like 20 minutes the next day and then 30 minutes. I haven't been able to do it past like 40 minutes effectively.
There's no right way to meditate.
Yeah,
So
I've heard
I
that.
do it now. My favorite way is, it's weird, man, but I can sometimes feel like when my pineal gland opens, I'll feel like a sensation and I'll literally stop what I'm doing and
Oh,
just
wow.
down and like meditate, and I'll get visuals and messages.
Wow. That's like on another level type of thing.
But like what I would say, if you want to really get into it for anybody that's listening, a cool one to check out to start, it's a quick one, is there's like a Joe Dispenza chakra. I think he calls them energy centers.
Energy
Uh,
centers. Okay.
and so like instead of a black space, what you do is there's seven chakras, and you start off on the bottom one, like the root chakra or whatever you want to terminology you want to use for it, the energy center.
Yeah.
And you put like either a white ball or a red ball. You go up each one with like a thing of light, and then around it, you go, and then so there's like a
Wow.
whole thing, and then I could save time on that, but each chakra theoretically, if it's blocked or you're not getting past it.
Yeah, and then for everybody that's watching, listening, the reason we're going over this is because a
Oh,
lot of guys.
yeah, it's all energy.
Yeah, that's to say that a lot of guys that are, or girls for that matter, that are big in this industry, especially in sales, like a common trait a lot of them have is like meditation. And then as I do it, I realize why. It's just, it grounds you, it centers you, it just, and that's very important when you're going through struggles in sales. It's just crucial. I would do everything I could. I would watch motivational videos and this. I wish I would have known about meditation back then or cared enough to get into it, but that's something I've been doing recently that I think has been helping me just be a better person in my position as far as my job goes and in life in general. So that's all really good stuff. Again, we'll put some links here for you on the bottom of the podcast, once we get it up and on every platform that we put it on where you could reach Luke. Again, he's an awesome person. He's a personal friend of mine. I've always valued his thoughts, and everything that we've talked about here is short, but definitely something that every salesperson, amateur, intermediate, advanced can take into. I mean, energy is a big thing. That could kind of be like the subject of this podcast, is just energy in sales, and that was all good stuff, man. That was great.